G'day, Franco Colapinto will replace Jack Doohan from Imola onwards, and the decision was made before the start of the season. But is this change permanent? Stick around to find out. Well, it took a few days, but Alpine has finally confirmed that Franco's in and Jack is out. The announcement came the day after Alpine team principal Ollie Oakes announced his resignation from the team. Ollie was quizzed in Miami on Saturday about Jack's tenure in the team, and this was his response. As it is today, Jack is our driver along with Pierre. We've been pretty clear on that. We always evaluate, but yeah, today that is the case. Well, 3 days later, that was definitely not the case. Nate Saunders from ESPN reported that Oliver cancelled his planned Sunday evening media sessions. The reason? A change in travel plans. Now, cancelling media sessions isn't uncommon in events like a rain delay or a red flag during a race. But Miami went exactly to plan. It's now obvious that Oliver felt it was important to meet with Jack to advise him of their decision before Jack headed back to Monaco. After all, no one wants to deliver this sort of news over the phone. And for Jack, it would have been an uncomfortable meeting. No one likes getting sacked. Just quickly, have a look at this graph. About half of you watching aren't subscribed. That means you're missing out on valuable F1 content. You can remedy that now by clicking the subscribe button. So what if Jack had scored points in Miami? Would that have saved him? No. Alpine hierarchy and key people in Jack's camp had been advised of the team's intent pre-race, but Jack was spared that information until after the race. So what were the personal reasons that led to Oliver Oakes resigning? Many of you suggesting he wasn't in favour of the driver swap, while some of you say it had something to do with him having to deny the rumours in the Miami press conference. I doubt we'll ever know. Ollie is no longer steering the Alpine ship. Flavio Briatore has taken over that role. But was Jack set up to fail? He was announced as Esteban Ocon's 2025 replacement in August last year. Then, just 6 days prior to the final race of the year, we were advised that Jack would be making his F1 debut in the Alpine of Esteban Ocon in Abu Dhabi. He finished 15th. Then, while the sport was in hiatus over the European winter, we learnt that Alpine had signed Argentinian driver Franco Colapinto to a multi-year contract. Remember, Flavio Briatore is involved in Jack's management, and Flavio was also pivotal in signing Franco. He was working with both parties at the same time, which is an odd situation. Now, I'm friends with both drivers, and I'm thrilled for Franco, but obviously I'm disappointed it's Jack's seat that he's taking. That aside, the move to sign Franco caused drama from the get-go. Jack had the Franco threat hanging over him every moment of his short 2025 season. He was constantly quizzed about his future by the media, and don't doubt that gets to a driver. On top of that, he was receiving all sorts of threats online. So much so that he had around-the-clock security in Miami and was planning on keeping that security for the Brazilian Grand Prix. Now, of all of the drivers, it's really only Lewis, Charles, Lando and Oscar that have full-time security, but it was plain to see by those close to the Aussie that those threats weighed heavily on him. People had discovered his personal email address and were sending email threats which resulted in Jack, his girlfriend and even his father holding real concerns for their safety in Miami. And on top of that, Jack's sleep was affected. And I'm certain Franco wouldn't be endorsing any of that behaviour from what is a minority of his fan base. Looking back at his form, 7 races without scoring a point didn't help, of course. And on Monday after the Miami race, Jack disabled comments on his Insta page. That's normally a pretty good sign that something is up. And if you go back through Alpine's Instagram posts throughout the year, you'll see it's heavily dominated by Argentinian flags and Spanish comments about Franco replacing Jack. And that's been going on for months. That wears away at a driver over time. His crash during FP2 in Suzuka was a heavy and expensive one. He failed to close the DRS at turn 1 and took way too much speed into that corner. Now, many of the experts will tell you that Jack was hard done by in Melbourne, and the team had to take some responsibility for his poor qualifying in Miami due to an error releasing him from the garage. Now, when you have a look at Jack's finishing position for the year, 14.75 is his average, and you compare it to Pierre's of 11, that's quite a difference. But he did end up on the podium for one stat that he won't be talking much about, that being the 3rd shortest F1 career at just 7 races. And I'm only considering drivers who were signed up to race for teams since 2000 and not fill-in drivers. In 2nd place, with just 5 races, was Minardi driver Nicholas Kieser, and the winner or loser of this particular award was Yuji Ide. a mere 4 races for Super Aguri, and the team didn't even sack him. The FIA took away his super licence. More recently, Nick de Vries had just 11 races in F1, 1 for Williams, the rest for AlphaTauri, and had similar results to Jack. He was axed for Daniel Ricciardo mid-2023, who was in turn sacked for Liam Lawson in 24, who was sacked from Red Bull after 2 races this year and sent back to VCARB. This is a brutal sport where performance talks. And money. I think Alpine has been well served by Red Bull's harsh 2-race trial of Liam in the main team's car. The French team looks like they've given Jack a good go at it with 7 races. Let's move on to Jack's replacement, Franco Colapinto. Franco scoring the drive in Williams last year ignited a wave of enthusiasm in Argentina, and there's no doubt the sport saw an increase in that market because of him. He brings big sponsors with him, the likes of Mercado Libre and Globant, but more so, millions of wildly passionate fans. That's a big draw card for the team because all those fans spend money on merch. Franco's stats, well, they are better than Jack's. 5 points, 9 races, although 3 DNFs, but an average finishing position of 11.17. Not too far off Pierre Gasly's. And to be fair, Franco is a marketer's dream. Young, good-looking, enthusiastic, and exciting on track. And when you meet him, you will love him. He's got a real spark, a spark that obviously caught the eye of Flavio Briatore. Franco will be in the car at Imola, and watch those viewership numbers for Latin America skyrocket. I have no doubt too that the Latin American ESPN network will be bringing bigger numbers of crew to this race. They did it last year for Franco's first race, and they were thrilled with the increased numbers of viewers for those shows. Luckily, there's a weekend off before we head to Imola because Alpine, F1 and the race promoter will have plenty to do. Things like new track, garage and hospitality suite signage. That'll all have to be reprinted. If there's a program, will they have time to change that to include Franco? And there are a whole host of other things that need to be considered. What of Jack's future? Well, it'll be back to reserve driver roles, sim work, occasional race attendances, but I understand that Franco will now be under the same level of pressure as Jack was, given a number of races to prove himself, and if he can't, the Alpine bosses could well take the seat back off him and put Jack back in. Now, in my 8 seasons of F1, I can't recollect that ever happening before, but realistically, I think that is a long shot. And if so, where would that leave Jack? Well, he won't be off to WEC or IndyCar. His sights are still firmly on Formula One, although he may have to sit out the rest of the season awaiting a gig in next year's lineup. Logan Sargent was in a similar situation after being axed by Williams in the middle of 2024. He tested for IndyCar, and in the end, he actually just gave racing away and is no doubt much happier than he was in those final weeks of his F1 career. This is the driver's group shot from the start of 2025. Already 3 changes to this lineup, and we're only a quarter of the way through the season. This is a sad week for Jack Doohan, but an exciting week for Franco Colapinto. I hope for Alpine's sake that Franco excels. Certainly, the young Argentinian has it all in front of him. I wish him every success, as I do Jack Doohan in his F1 pursuit. Before you go though, could you please hit the like button and subscribe, because about 50% of you watching are not subscribed. You'd enjoy it. And for a whole lot of extra social media content and merchandise and stuff at kimellman.com, these are the sites you need to look at. Thanks for watching. Y mantente apasionado.